Okay, a very good afternoon to all of the participants joining from India, and a very good morning to those of you joining from Europe. My name is Samrat Kumar. I am the country coordinator for Access India, and we are bringing you this first event of the year, the new year with new opportunities. Today, we will show you the possibilities under Horizon Europe. This is an info day which has been organized by the European delegation to India in partnership with the government of India and Euraccess. And it is an immense pleasure to start the new year with this event. This is about EU-India cooperation in research innovation, co-funding opportunities. And there are at the moment 11 calls which are open for co-funding from both the European and the Indian side. And we are really looking forward to today's session to guide you and lead you through these different calls and the modalities and scope. But before we start with that, it is an enormous honor to welcome His Excellency Ugo Astuto, the ambassador of the delegation, the European Union to India, to give the welcoming remarks of today's event. Dear Ambassador, Your Excellency, we're very happy to have you with us, and please share some words with the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here with you all virtually. And at the opening of this information event on collaboration opportunities between the European Union and India in research and innovation, let me recognize specifically and thank for their participation the Secretary and my good colleague from Brussels, Maria Cristina. I think we all know, at least in this circle, that the European Union and India have a very good track record when it comes to research and innovation. We have in stock more than 340 million euro value of projects in place. And let me also recall here the important people-to-people dimension. Every year, 150 or more than 150 Indian students go on Erasmus grants to Europe to continue the studies for a master or for a PhD. It's a very important bridge between our respective scientific communities. And most recently, together with Pierrick, we have also tried to identify the total number of Indian students currently in the European Union. And we are happy to say that probably we have around 70,000 Indian students today in the European Union. So a very significant community indeed. On this occasion, I'm very glad to note and welcome the fact that we have come to a positive understanding between the European Union and India to inject new momentum into the Horizon Europe program. As you said in your introduction, Dr. Kumar, we have 11 calls for co-funding now open. And let me thank all our partners from DST, DBT, the Ministry of Earth Sciences for their commitment, which has made this possible. I'm totally convinced that our renewed cooperation and Horizon will help to address a number of the global challenges we are all struggling with. We want a future which is green, digital, and resilient. And in order to achieve that, we need to work together. We need to share the results of our studies, of our research on issues which range from connectivity to energy, to how best to fight climate change, how best to fight a sustainable urban development. So I definitely hope that scientists in Europe and India will look closely at the opportunities offered by Horizon Europe. And let me close here, wishing you all a very good and fruitful discussion today. And I look forward to further successful cooperation in research and innovation between the European Union and India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for gracing this event and for your kind and encouraging words. This is really, today it's about EU-India cooperation, and I think no one better can share the insight about this partnership, which has been going on for so many years successfully, then our next speakers. I would like to ask Director Maria Cristina Russo from Brussels. She's joining us right now. She's the Director for Global Approach International Partnerships at the Director General for Research and Innovation at the European Commission. Thank you so much for joining us, Director Russo. Please, we invite you now for the opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Samrat, and thanks to you also, dear Ambassador, for your engaging words and for all your endeavors in order to strengthen research and innovation cooperation between the EU and India. Good afternoon in India. Good morning for the colleagues here in Brussels. Good afternoon in particular to Dr. Chandra Sekar, the Secretary of Department of Science and Technology. Very happy that you are here with us. And good afternoon and good morning to all participants to this seminar, both from India and Brussels. I heard that there are more than 700 people registered here. So I'm very, very happy to be participating to this information day on the opportunities stemming from the Horizon Europe Framework Program, and in particular from the work programs 2023-2024. Let me say very briefly, my colleagues will say in more details, but important for me to recall that India is a key strategic partner for the European Union, and research and innovation is a key component of this partnership. We are at a very important moment when the EU-India strategic partnership is growing. There is a political momentum to strengthen our relation with India. That was also shown by the visit of the President of the Commission, Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen, in India last year. And in research and innovation in this respect has a key role to play, as also the Ambassador has highlighted. We have an international cooperation policy in research and innovation, which is embedded in the global approach communication adopted by the European Commission, endorsed by the European Parliament and Council, which in fact aims at strengthening the cooperation with our key partners in research and innovation based on mutual values and principles. And we have an instrument, a very important instrument, which allows us in concrete terms to develop this cooperation, which is the Horizon Europe Framework Program. What is Horizon Europe? Horizon Europe, as it will be explained later on, is the EU Research and Innovation Framework Program. It is the biggest research and innovation multilateral framework program of the world, and I'm very happy to say that. And it is open to the participation of researchers, of universities, of innovators from all over the world. And that is important because it offers great opportunities for cooperation with India. It has a duration of 7 years. It was launched in 2013, continuing the previous programs, of course, 2023, sorry, continuous previous programs. And it has a budget of 95.5 million euros. Now, we are now explaining the possibilities. We will explain the possibilities of cooperation under the work program, which was now launched in 2023. And let me take this occasion to really thank the Indian government and also thank in particular Dr. Chandra Sekar for his endeavors that have allowed to set up the co-funding mechanism, which, as it was mentioned earlier on, we allow to support the participation of those Indian researchers that are selected within the framework of the Horizon Europe program. And indeed, this seminar, it is really structured in a way for us to explain in more details those calls which relate to the areas for which the co-funding mechanism has been designed. We have indeed, within the framework of the co-funding mechanism, as it was mentioned, 11 calls for which India has provided co-funds. And this shows very well the panoplia, the importance of our cooperation, because those calls go from increasing our scientific knowledge for cleaner oceans, strengthening technological capacity for cleaner energy, and the use of artificial intelligence in a human-centric way. The seminar today will explain in further details those goals that will provide opportunities to the Indian researchers and innovators, together with the possibility for the Indian research and innovators to use these co-funds which have been put in place by the Indian government. And again, I would like to thank the Indian government for that. Before concluding, let me say also that we are very keen to further strengthen our cooperation with India, also within the context of the Trade and Technology Council, which, as a follow-up of the visit of President van der Leyen to India, will be launched soon. There will be within this framework a working group which will focus on green technologies and clean energy, and research is very important for that. I would be very pleased to personally lead this work with my Indian counterpart. And also let me say that we are very strongly support India in its endeavors for the G20 presidency. We are very happy for the attention that within the G20 is given to research and innovation, to the topics that have been selected for the work on research and innovation. And we will support India and work with India, leading towards the G7 Research and Innovation meeting, which should take place in July this year. Let me, before finishing, thank in particular our delegation in India, the EU delegation, of course, the ambassador, as I mentioned, also our science counselor, Monsieur Pierrick Fillon and his colleagues. Let me thank also Air Access, Samrat Kumar and your colleagues for the work done. And let me wish to all of you a fruitful participation to this seminar. Hope you will get all the information you need in order to make it possible what we want, which is an enhanced participation of Indian researchers and innovators to the EU Horizon Europe program, also tapping on the possibilities offered by the co-funding mechanism which has been put in place by the Indian government. Many thanks and have a very good continuation of the discussions.
Thank you so much, Director Russo, for your inspiring words and highlighting the importance of research innovation partnership under the strategic partnership of EU and India. And I think today's event is really highlighting how important this collaboration is between these two countries and the mutual interest in trying to find solutions to global challenges through research and innovation cooperation. And as already Director Russo mentioned, we are very, very honored and happy to have the Secretary of Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Chandrasekhar, with us today, who has been, the DST, the cooperation with DST has been very important in making this event happen. And we are very thankful for Dr. Chandrasekhar's participation and also for giving the opening remarks of today's event. Dr. Chandrasekhar, thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Greetings to all the friends who are joining this call. I'm very happy that we have with us today the Ambassador of the European Union, His Excellency Hugo Stuto. We also have with us Maria Cristiana, Director Global Approach and International Partnerships. I'm also happy that friends from DST, DBT, Ministry of Earth Sciences, and all the Ministry of Science and Technology are on the call today, and to see how India and European Union can work together in this very important partnership on the Horizon Europe, which is jointly funded by the Government of India through the Ministry of Science and Technology and the EU. As mentioned by my predecessor speakers, I'm very happy that we also have chosen very pertinent areas of research today to see that the calls are made and see that the collaborators between the European Union countries and Indian researchers join hands together to work on some of the globally challenging problems. We know that today we have the COVID preparedness when we really got the COVID attack, and the way entire planet, including India, European Union, the US, and other countries have worked very closely and saw that we prepared well for this pandemic and we were able to almost come out of this mess. We are aware that with the kind of coexistence we have with the animal kingdom, the zoonotic diseases are going to increase. And we also know that the global warming and the climate changes are going to enhance the number of pandemics we are likely to see in the near future. So certainly a call on the pandemic preparedness and how we all will respond together as one citizens of this planet is very critical. I'm happy that the excellent researchers from European Union and India are working together. And I'm sure we are going to have good insights by the speaker who is going to talk on that. Similarly, I'm aware that we picked up very important theme, that is the efficient and trustworthy artificial intelligence. We know that AI could be either used for the welfare of all of us, or even it could be a detrimental in spoiling the activity of the human race on this planet. So how we are going to have a trustworthy artificial intelligence tool which connect all of us and will assist the human beings in their thought processes and make this planet more and more and better livable planet. I do believe that also call on this area is very critical. Of course, energy sector such as in the battery, transport, which is very critical for zero emissions, the healthy environment and friendly agri-food. We are also looking for a very important target, that is food for all. We want to make sure that the planet, no citizen is deprived of the food what is needed for his or her survival. So certainly the food security makes very important target. I'm confident the researchers from European Union and India, which is still continue to be a very important agricultural country, and the food what we produce is also exported. Similarly, we import some cereals. Certainly, I'm confident this kind of collaborative research in the food and friendly agricultural food especially would be of utmost important. The next important target, of course, is how we could always explore the unexplored resources the ocean has given to this planet. We all know that ocean gives not only transport, but also ocean gives you many kind of minerals, a lot of seafood. Also, we are aware that ocean has a lot of energy which can be tapped, which is never tapped. I do believe that these kind of workshops will bring in researchers from India and European Union to debate together, discuss, and co-invest these programs in such a way that we provide solutions what our planet is likely to face the next 20 to 30 years. All the participants in this call, they're all committed that we would like to have our science and technology towards net zero, that no technology what we develop will produce any emissions, and we will have a clean planet. Certainly, these collaborations will only take us to that level. So I do believe that we have not taken space research as one of the agenda items here, but I'm sure at some point of time, European Union friends and Indian participants will debate and see how we can connect the space activities through cybersecurity, quantum computers, and how we use the space effectively for better communication. I wish all the participants all the best. I do believe that this workshop will enable more and more researchers to participate in these joint calls so that we get good proposals for funding so that the outcomes of this call also will be useful. Again, I wish all the participants all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chandrasekhar, for this very encouraging and strong words for the necessity of collaborating on these very important topics as you have outlined, in which are also part of the 11 calls which both the government of India and the EU are co-funding, and encouraging the researchers from both sides to join hands to find the solutions for those challenges. I would like now to ask our Excellency and Director Russo just that we can come on for one screenshot picture with Dr. Chandrasekhar. I would ask that just to, yes, if I could just highlight, yeah, and just for having this moment also taking captured for our media outlets. Okay, thank you so much, Your Excellency, Director Russo, Dr. Chandrasekhar, for opening this event. And yes, we will now move to the next session of today's event. And we wish you all, yes, a very good day. Thank you again for giving the opening remarks. So now, without any further delay, I would like to start with the next session, which is on presenting the scope of the co-funding modalities. And here it's a great pleasure to welcome Ms. Nienke Büßmann. She's the head of unit, Global Approach, International Cooperation in Research Innovation, International Cooperation 2 for Asia, Africa, Middle East and External Relations at the European Commission in Brussels. Dear Nienke, thank you so much for joining us and a very good morning to you.
Very good morning and a very good afternoon in India. Thank you very much, Samrat, for this very kind introduction. I'm also very happy to be here with all of you, well, this morning, afternoon. And indeed, I mean, we have just heard from our leaders how much we value this cooperation between Europe and India. And now with this panel, we would like to go a bit into the details of how it actually works. It is all to do with the Horizon Europe program. And indeed, in the case of India, when Indian researchers and European researchers collaborate with each other, the funding for the Indian researchers is coming from the Indian government. And so let me also express my thanks on my personal behalf to the government of India for having established this co-funding mechanism. We've had many discussions also only actually online with Dr. Varshni Arvind. Thank you very much that this is now really seen the day. So what we're going to do with this part of the event is to present you these co-funding modalities, but also a bit more into the detail of how projects are to be prepared and how this co-funding actually functions. So this will be done through a joint presentation in which Dr. Vivek Dam, who is the advisor in the S&T team in the EU delegation, is going to present. Hi, Vivek, nice to see you online. And this will be followed by Dr. Arvind Kumar from the DST, Dr. Manish Rana from the DBT, and Dr. Aparna Shukla from the Ministry of Earth Sciences. So I welcome very much, of course, again, the participation of Dr. Arvind Kumar, who's a scientist in the International Cooperation Department in the DST. And as I said, we have had lots of discussions together with the colleagues in the delegation, Tanya as well on my side in Brussels. Thank you very much for being there, Arvind. And then also to welcome Dr. Manish Rana from the DBT. Good to see you, Manish. We shortly met in Brussels, but also online on many occasions. Thank you very much for putting the cooperation on health and life sciences high on the agenda with Europe. And finally, I'm pleased to present Dr. Aparna Shukla from the Ministry of Earth Sciences. We have not met yet, but I know your ministry is very interested in continuing the good cooperation on polar sciences with us. So let's start with the presentation. Vivek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nienke. I'm going to make it full screen, just a minute. Yeah, so thanks once again. This is, as Nienke mentioned, this will be a joint presentation of DST, DBT, MOES, and the EU side. So I'm going to give a brief overview of co-funding modalities of Government of India for the 11 calls. As of today, there are 6 calls which are open for proposal submission. So these calls are from the work program 2023-24. So we will be focusing only on 6 calls as of today. And once we have done with this 23 first batch of call, we will also organize similar events in future. So with me, Arvind, Dr. Arvind Kumar from DST, Manish, Aparna, and myself will be giving this overview of the cooperation. Just a minute, I'm finding difficult to, okay. This is the content of my presentation. I will be briefly giving the overview, how the co-funding modality is going to work, what are the eligibility criteria, admissibility criteria, what are the expectations from Government of India, and the timeline of the proposal and evaluation criteria. So these are the 6 calls which right now open. So it is organized, arranged in a closing date. So the first call on AI will close on 29th of March. So these are the deadlines. I will going to leave the presentations with you. And after our presentation, actually, the detailed presentation of these calls will be given by the experts from European Commission. So all the calls text is available on European Horizon Europe Funder and Tender portal. This is the official text you should consider, and where the text will be available. I had given the website. The presentation will be shared with you. So please look at the official scope and impact of the call from the tender and portal website, as well as the detailed co-funding guidelines are given by the DST, DBT, and Ministry of Earth Sciences on their respective website. They also had a cross connection of the links with the calls, which is also available on their website. So you can either through funder tender portal or through the guidelines where the calls are mentioned. So who can participate? As Director Christina mentioned, basically this program is open by default to almost all countries. Any legal entities, that is, could be a company, small or big, research organizations, universities, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, individual researchers from Europe or non-European countries can participate in Horizon Europe calls. From Government of India, the co-funded calls, what are the conditions who can participate? It could be central or state government supported organization. It could be public or private research organization, academic institutions, nationally or state funded R&D labs, and also the R&D performing industry can participate on voluntary basis on their own funding. So the Horizon Europe proposal eligibility, this is very important to understand that the eligibility for the Horizon Europe, that you need to have 3 legal entities from 3 different European countries. That is, 1 entity is supposed to be from member state and 2 could be from member state or associated country. The list of 27 countries are given here. So you have to have 1 country entity from the 27 member states. And plus in associated country, as of today, there are 16 countries are associated with Horizon program. So you have a total of around 45 countries to choose as a partner. This is the Horizon Europe eligibility, basic eligibility criteria. From Indian side, the number of participants from India in co-funded call is not an Horizon Europe mandatory conditions. But if you have to qualify for Government of India's co-funding, you need to have 1 or more Indian entities in the proposal. They encourage the more entities because that increase the impact of the project into India. So it is highly encouraged by more than 1 entity should be participating from the Indian side. 1 entity should be from public sector. That is the main requirement because the funds will be mainly provided through the public sector organizations. Dr. Arvind will explain you in detail. So from Indian side, the proposal should look like the 3 European partners, that is member state or associated country, 1 or more European Indian partners. Plus you can add any additional partner from European, non-European country. It could be from Japan, it could be from any country, from US, you name it, you can include those partners into the proposal. So technically this is open to entire world and this is a good opportunity for multilateral collaborations. So please check additional eligibility conditions in the call text as well. So who is eligible for Horizon funding? As I mentioned, participation and funding, we need to differentiation. The participation is open. The funding has a specific criteria. There are 27 European member state entities are automatically eligible for European Horizon Europe funding. In addition, there are 16 associated countries. In addition, there are 120 entities from countries. The entities can get automatic funding from European Commission. The entire list of these 120 countries are available on Horizon 2020 portal. But there are certain number of countries which are not automatically funded. So this is the non-European countries which are not automatically funded. They are called industrial and emerging economies, which you can name the big countries, and BRICS, specifically China, India, Brazil, Mexico, US, Canada, Japan, you name the countries. These are the big economies, are not automatically funded, but the entities from these big economies and big countries can participate as an associated partner. So actually, there are three scenarios which the EU can fund: exceptional funding, co-funding, and specific mentioned funding to the country. But today we are going to only focus on co-funding because the government of India has agreed a co-funding to 11 calls. And I will hand over to Dr. Arvind Kumar to give a brief about the general co-funding conditions of Government of India. Arvind, over to you.
Thank you, Vivek. So can you move? Okay. So, dear colleagues, particularly our researcher who was joining today, this is to inform that Government of India has signed a co-funding mechanism with the European Commission for participation in their Horizon Europe program, and there are certain terms and conditions in which both sides are working together and join hand for supporting the collaborative project. So that is one of the conditions which under which we are working together, and details of those terms and conditions are available in our website, in which we have outlined what are the terms and conditions. And one of the criteria that we are fixing that there will be independent review in each side on the submitted proposal. So that is one of the criteria which must be fulfilled. And then second is that there should be separate IPR arrangement between the participating organization. Since we have signed this co-funding mechanism, now we are not governed by their European Commission grant agreement, and therefore the Indian participants or the participating agency need not to sign the EC grant agreement. On the operative part is that we do not accept any proposal through email or hard copy. All the proposals should be submitted online, and for that you have to visit our website in which details are given. So the website, one of the website is www.onlinedst.gov.in. So all the Indian participants should visit to that website, register themselves, and then sign, log in that, and then prepare the proposal. And as far as submission of the proposal is concerned, the joint proposal which has been prepared jointly by both sides, the copy of that should be uploaded in the Indian side within the 7 days once it is submitted in the main portal of the European Commission. So that is also mandatory. And regarding the eligible participant, all the public and private funded organization who is involved in research and innovation, and particularly for the private institution, should be recognized by UGC or our CSIRO system. So that is the condition under which they have to fulfill. And next is submission of, and for registration also, there is also a requirement that it is not a prior requirement, but all the participating organizations should we register on our public finance management system, so that the subsequent, once their proposal are recommended for funding, they should get funding through PFMS system. So these are some of the, you can say, condition which the Indian agency had to fulfill. And then we have also kept a cap on the amount of the budget. So per project, we have indicated 1.5 crore Indian rupees. So that has also be to be mentioned in their budgetary part, and it should not exceed to that. And we are supporting almost all eligible cost under the project. So my colleague, I think Manish Rana, will detail the eligible costs involved under the project. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vivek, and thank you, Dr. Arvind, for giving me this opportunity. So as far as funding by DBT is concerned, the department will be supporting the Indian partners, the Indian entity, eligible entity that Dr. Arvind has already just now mentioned, in a successful project as per the requirements of the project for the duration of 3 to 4 years, whatever the projects have been recommended for. And the budget should be commensurate with the essentiality of the participation, workload, objectives, and of the project for which the project has been recommended for. And as far as the funding will be concerned, is basically under the non-recurring head and the recurring head. The non-recurring head will cover the capital expenditure cost, that includes cost for the equipment. And for the recurring head, which includes consumable costs, contingency, and overhead, outsourcing budget, if any, travel, and manpower subhead. For hiring of manpower, it is important here to mention that the national guidelines issued by DST should be referred to, which is which the DST issues from time to time, and it's upgraded from time to time, and it's put up on the national website also. And usually we support research associates, SRFs, JRF, and project assistants. Other than that, it is also important here to mention that the department will not be funding the salary of the PI, which is very important to be mentioned here, and any expenditure cost for that is incurred for office equipments, furnitures, renovation, extension of facilities, etc. Expenditure towards the rental cost also will not be taken care of by the departments. Demonstration plants and associated field equipment, etc. So we'll be putting up our, I think DBT I think has not put up its advertisement as of yet on the website. We'll be putting up in the website very soon. And for if there are any issues with regard to the budget and the budget aspect, you can always contact us anytime. And the department will, from my colleague, Dr. Abhishek, who is also the program officer for the EU Corporation, will be available to give the clarifications if needed anytime. Thank you.
Dr. Aparna?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Manish and Dr. Vivek. Greetings from MOS to all. So I'll be covering the part of admissibility and general conditions of Government of India. So the application must be jointly prepared by the European and the Indian partner, and it should be as per the template given by the Horizon Europe, both the Part A and Part B. Then the developed application should be submitted online into the fund and tenders portal, which was initially shown by Dr. Vivek. And this is to be done by the European project coordinator. Then the Indian coordinators have to submit the same proposal, exactly same proposal in all respects, to the respective Indian entity, that is Department of Science and Technology or Department of Biotechnology, and or Ministry of Earth Sciences, whatever the case may be. And this has to be done very carefully, because each of the department mentioned, that is DST, DBT, and MOES, they have their respective administrative and financial forms which differ, and they have been annexed with the respective calls. So the Indian partners have to be very careful. And the submission for all the three departments, the internal submission or the submission of the complete proposal to the Indian funding agency is also different. That is, for DST, it has to be submitted to to their EPMS online portal, as it was also mentioned by Dr. Arvind. And for DBT, it is to be emailed, and the email addresses have been given in the call. Similarly, for MOES, a hard copy is to be given, and the soft copy of the proposal is to be emailed to the respective email addresses within 7 working days. So it has to, this task has to be, the submission has to be done very carefully. So, and with respect to all the annexes being there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arpana. Sorry. So what we will do, what my colleague had mentioned, the submission will be in 2 phases. First will be at the electronic submission to the Horizon Europe funder and tender portal, that is part A and part B. And then the DST from EMS online portal, and DST DBT, DBT and MOES via email, and MOES will need also a hard copy of the proposal. So these are the details we will be giving later. So just a minute. Yeah, the most important part now will be to how to find a partners. This is a very challenging part, and you can use different techniques, because most of the people who are applying for multilateral are experienced scientists, but we are also assisting the researchers from different parts of the world and India specifically to connect with each other. So you can have partner search tools, NCPs, regional offices, EURAXs, but we are also organizing and brokerage events, 5 brokerage events from 2nd February to 21st of February. Ninker and Pierre will give you the details of the deadlines and the events later at the closing ceremony. The consortium formation, as I mentioned, 3 legal entities from 3 different European member states and associated countries. Additional legal entities can be taken from any parts of world, including India, is highly encouraged. The partner has to be multidisciplinary, cross-sectoral, cross-disciplinary approach. That is highly encouraged. This type of proposals are highly encouraged. Gender balance needs to be taken in consideration. 1 project coordinator has to be from Europe, because the funding for the Europeans and the beneficiaries will go to the European coordinator. And if there are more than 1 Indian participant, the Indian side people has to nominate 1 lead scientific coordinator to communicate with the respective funding agency. So as Dr. Arvind had mentioned, the Indians will not sign European grant agreement, so they will be participating as an associated partner. That means their funding will come from Government of India in terms of Indian rupees. So you can also add this total amount in the global budget. If it is 5 million, it's given to a specific budget. It is not the limit. You can the Indian budget will not be counted in that 5 million. So you have additional budget from non-funding agency. So that is an advantage to increase the size of the funding of the project. The Indian researchers can be a project partner as well as work package leader, but cannot be a coordinator, because the money is going, the European money is going to European side. So that will be mainly handled from the European side, the coordination with the European Commission, and the lead PI from India will communicate with the Indian funders. So to access and to enter into this partnership, you need a PIC number, that is, we will give in detail in a brokerage events. And the whole thing of understanding between Indian and European side will be chalked out in the consortium agreement, which will be mutually developed and agreed by consortium members. So Indian regulatory, I will ask Dr. Manish to give a little bit of elaboration on this point.
So my voice is coming. Abhishek this side.
Yes, Dr. Abhishek, please go ahead.
Yes, yes. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present the view on this call document. So regarding regulatory and ethical consideration, in this slide, 4 different headings has been mentioned, and the details regarding the links for various categories under which the successfully recommended projects have to seek the approval from competent authorities at various level, like from the institute or from different departments, will be required for implementation of the recommended projects from Indian side, depending on their areas. Even these approvals on the regulatory aspect may be required before the release of the first grant from the funding agency. And these regulatory approvals are the basic requirement for successful implementation of the projects without any hassle. And next slide, please. And regarding IPR, uh, uh, which is the ultimate output that is going to come from the different call documents and through making of consortia. So the ownership of IPR and the protection and its user rights. So it will depend on the preparation of consortium agreement between the partnering countries from India side as well as from the European Union member country side, whoever are going to participate. And this consortium agreement regarding IPR will cover the following aspects, which are already mentioned in the slide, like knowledge management regarding the confidentiality and its obligation, whatever the information regarding the background IP and foreground IP, and dissemination of information as well as the data sharing aspect also that will be required. And additionally, from this consortium IPR document preparation, the Department of Biotechnology specifically requires in its format the MOA agreement, and in that part it also requires the information regarding the IPR rights and other things also. And that is all about in this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So I will come quickly to the evaluation criteria. As Dr. Arvind Kumar had mentioned, that the evaluation will be done at twice. The evaluation from European side will be done by under the Horizon Europe evaluation criteria, that is excellence, impact, and implementation. Government of India will follow after the EU evaluation. You will also follow its own evaluation given by the national guidelines. So the proposal positively evaluated by both the sides will be considered for the co-funding by the Government of India. So that is the evaluation criteria which the ministry has been agreed. So this is the Horizon Europe timeline. That is, the proposal will be open for 3 months, followed by the evaluation will conduct 5 months, and the grant to agreement. So the entire process of closing to the grant is mandatory that European Commission to complete within the 8 months period. And we anticipate that the Government of India will also follow the same line, and the project will start on the similar time. So these are the some important web links which you can use for the finding the partners, but we will be also assisting you through brokerage events to find the partners from Europe and India as well. So this is the team since last 6 months. We are working together to come to a conclusion of co-funding agreement, and finally we are here with 11 calls. You can write to us at any given time. We are more than happy to assist you. I will give it back to Ninker to handle the Q&A session. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much to all of the presenters for this very clear presentation. I think the slides say it all, and will of course also be shared, because that's where all the information is. We have many questions in the Q&A and some hands raised. So what I would like to do is try to address all these questions. Some of it I can answer myself, but otherwise I'll give back the floor to the panel. I think some of them have already been addressed in the presentation, but let me just underline a few things again. For example, several of you are asking whether it's mandatory to have an EU partner to have access to the fund. Indeed, in these Horizon Europe projects, you need to have a minimum of 3 different partners from 3 different member states in the European Union, as you can also see on the slides. Many of you have raised the difficulty in finding partners. And I think indeed this was also recognized by Vivek, and he gave a very clear slide overview of all the let's say advice on finding a partner. For example, of course, Euraxis, of course, is helping here on the funders and tenders portal. When you have when you're interested in a specific proposal, you can actually indicate what your added value is. There's a partner search. You can also build on your previous experience, perhaps bilateral links that you have with institutions in the member states, etc. But we are happy, of course, to assist you with this. Another question that comes through several times is whether projects are interdisciplinary, and that is indeed also, let's say, the basis of Horizon Europe projects. This then also includes, is embedded in a project's social sciences a dimension. Whether private sector is covered, I think this was presented indeed. It's private sector, public institutions. The Indian government has chosen 11 topics. We will there are 6 open this year, and we'll go into the details, the research details in the second part of this event. There's, for example, a question whether cybersecurity is covered. I mean, there are 2 topics selected in the area of AI by the DST. There's a question on the public health. There we'll go more into the detail of the health topic also in the second part of this event. The calls are open, so we're not the money is not given to specific projects. It's open calls for proposals, so a competitive selection process. I think that there are 3 questions that I probably cannot answer. There's one on whether open access costs are covered on the Indian side. The second one is related to state universities, whether these are considered public. And then modalities for public-private partnerships on the Indian side. So maybe someone in the panel could take these questions.
Yeah, Arvind, Dr. Manish, Dr. Aparna, are you comfortable to answer this question? Please go ahead.
No, could you please repeat the question? So actually, I'm out of station, so my connection is not that good. So I'm frequently losing the connection. Could you please?
Okay, so one question is, let's do question by question then. Are open access costs covered by the funding provided on the Indian side? No. Doesn't seem to work.
Manish, yeah. Aparna, can you just try?
Yes. So open access publication charges, is that what is meant? If that is what is meant, then some part of the funding may be covered if properly justified and supported with the quotations from the respective journals where the principal investigator wishes to publish. So if those documents are there, then not entirely, one may not say that I have to, if the support may be given for, say, 5 publications, but yes, for 1 or 2 publications, the support can be definitely justified and given.
Okay. Thank you. Then the question of estate universities, whether they are eligible. Are these
state universities are, yes, they are eligible, yes.
Okay. Perfect. And then there was a question on how to go about the partnership between the government and private institutions in India. What are the modalities which private institution needs to keep in mind? Good.
So for the private institutes, if it is an academic institute or a research institute, so there are certain documents which have to be produced, which can be the list of those documents can be obtained from different departments. Getting in touch, like for MUES, you can get in touch with me and respective contacts. But yes, as mentioned in the call documents also, the respective private institutes are also eligible for such partnerships.
Okay, very good. Then also here, can a private company from the EU be a partner? Yes, this is possible. I have a question. Are entities like ISRO eligible to participate?
I didn't get that. Was that an acronym?
Yeah, it was an acronym, and that's why probably I also am a bit lost with this question. Maybe we look into that. Yeah, let's look into this. Okay, maybe I see questions are coming in, but let me open the floor. I have 2 hands raised. Mr. Rajneesh Kaushik, would you like to ask your question? You are muted. Mr. Rajneesh Kaushik, you're muted, so we cannot hear you. So let me move to Dr. Sonny George. Would you like to come in?
My question is that I have found a project initially that the validation of fluid-derived biomarkers for the prediction of prevention of brain disorders, RIA. It is open on 30th March. But in the later versions I didn't find that proposal program. So is it the program aborted or is it live?
I will answer. Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, my connectivity is very poor. So I'll just the proposal, the call on validation of fluid derived biomarker is certainly on. And DBT, we will be going to publish this on our website very soon. Due to some administrative reason, we have not been able to do so. But in maybe another 2 or 3 days, we'll be doing it as and when we get the administrative approvals. Yeah, thank you. Anything else?
Ninka, I have a question for you. Can I ask quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is very regular questions. Is UK considered as a Horizon Europe associated country and can include as an associated partners in 3 preliminary requirement in a consortium?
The UK is as of yet not yet associated to the Horizon Europe program, so it cannot be included as an associated partner in the project. Okay, I have Shriram Sankaran. Would you like to ask your question?
Meantime, Sri Ram open. There is one more question. It comes to you again, Ninka. Where is the link for Europeans to find co-funded countries?
Where is the link to?
Find co-funding of third countries.
Ah, yeah. Okay, so which third countries are actually providing co-funding in the program? Yeah. This link is also to be found on the participant portal. We can share it perhaps in the chat. I need to say though that we are currently in the process of updating the guide that actually lists all the third countries that are providing co-funding, because we're in the middle of this, like with India, this is rather new. So we are really doing our best to finish this as soon as possible and make the link very accessible. So it's on the participant portal, but we will also add it to our own website when we are ready. I don't know if one of my colleagues could put the link in the chat. But we were giving the floor to some people who raised their hands, but it doesn't seem to work that well. Let's try again. Shriram Shankaran. Because we don't hear anything. So okay. The next in line is Dr. Amit Sata.
Yeah, good afternoon. First of all, thank you, the government of India as well as European Union for taking this kind of initiative. I really appreciate it. My question is that I belong to the Marwadi University and we are having a good collaboration with few university into the Georgia. So my question is that into the consortium, do we need to any university from the European Union, or maybe directly we can submit the proposal with the Georgia university, or do we need to include any university from European Union? That's what my main question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. You need a minimum of 3 European, so for member states from the European Union. You also found a list on the slides in your proposal. It needs to be from a minimum of 3 different member states in the European Union. I also see that the questions are continue to come in the Q&A. I'm not sure because it's already past our deadline whether we can address all of those, but maybe we can try to address them in writing whilst we move to the next session. But let me just finish with the 2 hands that are still raised. Bhaskar Parli and Nutan Kaushik, would you like to first come in and then we will address the Q&A in I'll try to address them in writing. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Bhaskar here. Thank you for this opportunity. In the advertisement on the MOE's website, UK has been included as an associate country. But just now you had mentioned that it is not. So I just want to clarify, because we are trying to form a consortium and UK is a part of the consortium as of now. So I would like to know, kindly clarify, because the advertisement clearly shows that UK is an associate country.
Where have you, which advertisement are you referring to?
Yeah, the advertisement which has come on the Indian DST, DBT and MOES websites.
Okay, yeah. No, I need to confirm that the UK is not as of yet associated to the Horizon Europe program. So that's
okay.
that is a fact.
So we have to because we are trying to form a consortium where right now we are falling short of 1 member country. So that's why.
Yeah. Okay. So you need to. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. One last question. We try Nutan Kaushik. Can we hear you?
Yeah. My question is that suppose we involved an associated country in the proposal, like India, any other country like Norway or Germany or any other country. So if the associated country withdraw the funding before the decision is taken on the proposal, after the submission of the proposal, what will happen to the proposal? Well, whether it will be considered or not, because this happened last time during the InnoIndigo project. The Germany withdrew the funding in the last moment. And so how this thing has been taken care this time?
That because okay, I don't know if my colleagues can help me a bit with that.
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah.
If you want, I could.
Yeah. Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, if you take an entity from a member state or a country that is associated and with whom the negotiations and the status is clarified, so this is a family of 16 countries, those countries will be automatically funded. There is no risk of that. Okay. Then if you have in the project submitted countries that don't get automatically funded and need to be funded by their funding agency, there is always a risk that if that is not honored by the funding partner, India or another, that then that partner will have to find another way to get the funding or eventually drops out of the project that has been constituted. That's why we count so much on a good cooperation with our funding partners that somehow, if selected by our evaluation system, it will be honored by the funding partner. So yes, there is always a risk that the funding will not follow. And then there is that risk that you have to drop out of the consortium on which you have been selected. And that has happened in the past.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tanya. I suggest, Samrat, that we move maybe to the next part of the event. Otherwise, we risk delaying it. Thank you very much to all of you, all participants, for your questions. We'll still have a look at those in the Q&A to see if we've forgotten any, to address any. And thank you very much for the presenters. Have a nice continuation of the event.
Thank you so much, Aninke, for excellent moderation, and of course to all the speakers for outlining the modalities of the calls, the co-funding mechanism, sorry. And you can see, as Aninke already mentioned, there are questions coming in as we speak, and we will try to answer as much as we can, but we also already mentioned in the chat, if we're not able to address your question today, we have shared the email addresses of the delegation and India, your access where you can send your questions, and we will direct them to the right person to help you with answers to your questions. But please stay on. We have another exciting second part coming, and it's a great pleasure for me to welcome Tanya Friedrichs from Brussels. Today she's joining us from Brussels. She's the Senior Policy Officer in the Directorate for Global International Cooperation, Unit of Asia, Directorate General for Research Innovation at the European Commission. It's a great pleasure, Tanya, to have you with us again. Feels like old days, and you will be moderating today's second part about the scope of the calls.
Thank you, Samrat, for this nice introduction, and of course, good afternoon to my Indian colleagues and Indian scientific community. It is also very much a pleasure and an honor for me to be part of this information session. We've heard a lot already about how happy we are about this reactivated cooperation with India. And this session will really show you why it is so important that we do engage together on research and innovation. As the Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Chandrasekhar, said, all these topics that India has selected do really respond to needs that we have to address. If I can even quote him to say, to get out of this mess that we are in, whether it is on health, on the planet, and on the well-being of our citizens. it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Stephanie Savinsky, who is from also the DG Research and Innovation Director General in the Department on Health. And she will present you this very interesting call in which we really count on India to help us to continue on this pandemic preparedness and response. India has already been successful in a very important project on that. But again, quoting the Secretary, we have to continue to be prepared and better prepared. So Stephanie, thank you very much for joining us and presenting how we believe at European Union can we improve that and how we can improve that preparedness with the input also from India. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you for having me. I'm going to share my slides, is that correct? Oh,
yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Let me see. You tell me when you see something. Can you see anything?
Yeah, just have to enter full screen mode.
Okay. Oh my God, okay, let me just see how. Sorry, whoops. Okay, is this, can you, oh, why is this not going back to the first? Sorry, this is my first slide, you see it?
Yes.
Great, okay, so I just give you a little bit of background. So the core topic that I'm presenting for you today, that is within the cluster 1 health. And within this cluster, there are 6 different destinations, and the destination concerned here is destination 3 on tackling diseases and reducing disease burden. So a few words on destination 3. So we all obviously know that communicable and non-communicable diseases cause the greatest amounts of premature deaths and disability in the EU and worldwide. So destination 3 here tries to address the urgent need for research and innovation to develop the new preventive measure, public health intervention, diagnostic, vaccine therapies, alternatives to antimicrobials, as well as to improve existing preparedness and prevention strategies to create tangible impacts. So now the topic that is of interest here, it tries to advance the development of broad spectrum antiviral therapeutics for infectious diseases with epidemic potential. So we do obviously also know that the emergence of viral disease outbreaks is expected to accelerate in the future. And the availability of these broad spectrum antiviral therapies would provide a critical preparedness measure to fight against future health threats. The budget for this core topic is 50 million. And we estimate that an expected EU contribution of 7 to 8 million per project would allow the project to address the expected outcomes. So what are the expected outcomes? They are listed here. So there is some, I just have to, we expect that the scientific and clinical communities have an increased knowledge on viruses with epidemic potential and also a better understanding of different potential mechanisms of actions for the development of broad spectrum antivirals. We also expect that the clinical, scientific and clinical communities have access to novel approaches for the development of antiviral therapies for emerging and re-emerging infections, that they have access to experimental broad spectrum antiviral candidates against emerging or re-emerging infections for future clinical investigation, and that a diverse and robust pipeline of broad spectrum antiviral drug candidates is available. for re-emerging and emerging infections, for a clinical deployment in case of an epidemic or pandemic. So the scope of the topic, so proposals that are submitted to this topic should develop and advance broad-spectrum antiviral compounds and novel approaches to the development of such compounds, which target viruses with high epidemic or pandemic potential for the EU. And these could include viruses that are listed in the WHO priority list. And also they should consider the criteria that the Health Emergency Preparedness and Response Authority, HERA, has identified. And the links to this are on the slide as well. They should cover viruses that for which there are no currently available effective therapeutics, or for which the therapeutics that are available are suboptimal. Proposals are also expected to incorporate state-of-the-art screening technologies and innovative approaches to identify new targets for antiviral compounds. And just to emphasize again, it is really the emphasis here is on broad spectrum antivirals, but this still might include the repurposing of previously approved or in pipeline drugs. So important to say as well is that proposals should address all of the following areas. So proposals submitted should include preclinical work and proof of concept first in human studies and early safety and efficacy trials for testing these new or improved antiviral therapeutics. Phase 2B and 3 trials will not be supported. The proposals should address also innovative delivery systems with suitable safety profiles when relevant. And the application should, there should be an application of novel approaches and widely applicable workflows like artificial intelligence for the identification of broad spectrum antiviral therapies. And attention needs to be paid to the critical social factors such as sex, gender, age, socioeconomic factors, ethnicity, and migration and disability. And just to mention to you, as a last note, there was on the 23rd of November, a workshop that we organized at the Commission on the development and availability of broad spectrum antiviral as a high priority medical countermeasure for pandemic preparedness. And a report for this workshop is published. The link is on the slide, and it will also be added to the frequently asked questions on the funding and tender portal. So this might be of interest as well to the applicants. And then just have to, just to say thank you, and obviously I remain available for any questions. And I'm not sure how to stop. There we go.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. I think the audience can be happy and privileged that you presented so well what we are after with this call, but I'm sure that there may be some questions specifically still. So if you could just stay with us for a couple of more minutes. So if there are questions on this call, I think we should have it now, either in the chat or raise your hand.
I think, Tanya, better is we ask them to raise their hands because there are so many questions coming in writing, and I don't think we can answer all or ask Stephanie to answer all, but I think this is good. We have Parangoda who has a question to I allowed him to talk.
Okay. So your question?
Hello. Can you hear?
Not too well, but we can. So if you could really sharply put your question.
See, we are also taking the same question, like reducing the burden of the disease, COVID. Actually, we also believe
Somebody
in
is not unmuted. We hear background noise, sorry. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Actually, we believe in the prevention is better than cure. The language that has been used in the presentation is the same thing that what we are also talking about with the yoga means, yoga techniques following. Now, nowhere I could see in the presentation the yoga method of preventing or reducing the disease. This is the question.
So this is really about compound development, drug development, this topic. So that so the focus of this topic would be in the area of drug development. So therefore, these I guess these other ways of considering reducing disease burden, yeah, won't be in the scope within this specific topic.
Let's take it as an idea for another call, maybe, that as the speaker said, prevention is more important than curing, but we have an urgent need to cure, and that's why we focus on the drugs development. But we keep it in mind. We will all do more yoga. Next question, if any. Then, as Samrat said, we will look at the questions in writing in the chat and come back to you on that. There are many questions, but there is kind of a trend in the questions, so we can provide a collective answer at a later stage. Unless, Stephanie, you would already like to address one or two?
Yeah, I can have a look. I see 2 hands raised, although I don't know if these people might not be able to connect. Do you see this, Tanya? There's no one.
I don't see hands. Samrat, you see hands?
One, I see.
I think that was from before.
Yes.
But there are 2 questions to Stephanie in the bottom of the Q&A. One is about impact assessment of long-term clinical trial on individual vaccine-related data, if that's required.
So this is not a vaccine topic. This is really for therapeutics. So for antiviral drugs. We do have a topic on vaccines for epidemic and pandemic prone pathogens. So I don't know how I could get the information on the vaccine topic. I can send this to you as well then, or so I can give you the information on this topic, but vaccines are not included in the topic that I just presented.
On that point, Stephanie and Samrat, what we could do is the focus of this information session is really the cause that India has agreed, earmarked, to provide co-funding to selected entities. But we discussed this yesterday. We have many more calls in our Horizon Europe work program, especially on health, in which participation of international partners is always welcomed, because also they do reflect a lot of the agenda of the multilateral fora discussions in which India is a partner, or because the topic itself is relevant internationally. But the government of India has not provided co-funding, but that doesn't mean you can't participate. In that case, you would have to look for own funding. So what we suggest to do, Samrat, is Stephanie will, before we circulate formally the PPT of Stephanie, we will add one slide with a couple of topics that could also be very relevant to the Indian scientific community. But you have to bear in mind that they would not be that the government of India has not provided a co-fund, but I would also encourage to look at those and see if you can have own funding in one way or another to participate, because it would be of mutual interest. I think we have to stop how interesting this is, this preparing for pandemics, which we hope we won't have, but we have to be prepared. And really the knowledge there is in India on that. So we encourage you really to look further at that goal and to actively seek partners to present proposals. But we have another topic. So I thank you very much, Dr. Stephanie, and I would like to switch, if you all agree, to the next topic. And here is already our colleague from the Director General on Connect, which is I would say summarize digital technologies from the Digital Technology Director General. And we have also here a very knowledgeable person on the topic that was earmarked by India for co-funding, which is on the best use of data artificial intelligence. And again, I don't know, Evangelina, if you were there in the very beginning, but the Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, who has identified that call for earmark, really underlined the importance of cooperation with Europe on the topic of artificial intelligence, to use it and avoid abusive use as well. So let's see if the call that you have can meet these challenges of working closer with India on artificial intelligence, which I really do encourage. Having been in India myself for 5 years, it is really, there is a pocket of knowledge there on artificial intelligence. So the floor is yours, Evangelina. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tanya, and good afternoon to everybody. Namaste. Hello from the small country of Luxembourg, and I will try to share now my screen and to show to you, and I'm confident, Tanya, it's a very interesting topic, and I'm looking forward also to see also and receive also proposals with a joint consortia. So let me try to share the screen now. Can you see it? Because usually there's always this thing with the small black boxes.
Yes, could you just put it to full screen mode?
No?
Yeah, I think you have to just change the view on the Zoom, because there is this black bar on the right hand.
How do I change that? Because that's always the problem with Zoom.
Yeah, if you just minimize it, or if you do side-by-side gallery. No?
How about now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Should I start?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to present this one topic. As you can see from the title, efficient, trustworthy AI, making the best of data. It's earmarked in parentheses, AI Data and Robotics Partnership, which is one of the many European partnerships under Horizon Europe, which means that this partnership actually contributed also to the description and to the making of this topic. So we all know that the training of and running of models, AI models, especially large AI models, require significant amounts of computing power, and actually is also expensive, very expensive when done also at scale. But it comes also with a heavy environmental footprint. So making an AI and data more efficient is therefore very crucial to make them more, to make these technologies more cost effective, but also energy efficient, but nonetheless also make them more sustainable and accessible for everybody. So in this topic, we are looking for optimizing AI solutions, so optimizing the model design and the data usage to maximize the accuracy and the robustness of those systems, to ensure in general a good quality of the pipeline, and also the representative and unbiased, which is very important for us, unbiased and compliant training data for this kind of models and for the AI development in general in all relevant sectors. What we're also looking for is to support the data preparation and the AI data training processes that lead to the efficient and more trustworthy AI. And as you know, usually in the Horizon Europe work programs, we put always an estimated EU contribution, which in this case for this topic is between 8 and 10 million euros EU funding. So we have two focus areas. I don't know if people had a chance also to look into the work program. One is more, I would say, AI focused, the other more data focused, but either way, they're both also linked because one and the other works together. So on the first focus area, we look at automated and AI-based mining, harvesting, the selection, cleaning, and annotation and/or enrichment and augmentation of data for AI, generating and using synthetic data to reduce the need for large volumes of real and potentially sensitive data, and validating the efficiency of these processes in AI systems. In the second focus area, we look for lighter, less data intensive and less energy consuming AI models, optimized learning processes that require less input, therefore data efficient AI, and without degrading actually the quality of the output. And we're looking also to machine learning methods and architectures, also hardware architectures that deal with lower volumes such as transfer learning, one-shot learning, continuous and/or lifelong learning, or any other emerging kind of learning mechanisms and machine learning algorithms that appear. And of course, what we want to make sure for this type of proposals, because we have focus areas, that proposals really clearly mention in the proposal which is their main focus area. It can be also that proposals might target both, but ideally we want to see in the consortium and in the proposal a clearly mention of the main focus area. So what we do not want to see, and this is the kind of presentations that we do also at all the information days, is proposals in this case, because it's a research and innovation action. We don't want to see limited ambition in the proposals and only incremental progress over the current scientific state of the art. And we do not want to see proposals that do not have all the description about the data that is going to be used, especially for the second focus area. So as it is a very important, because as you know, the research and innovation action under Horizon Europe, they start usually from TRL level 2 to 3 and they reach 4 to 5. So we really want to see really an increase of the current state of the art in those proposals. Something that we also explain in our information days is the topic evolution. Because in a way we have started already in the first call of the Horizon Europe program last year. We had a sub area, a research area looking into this aspect, and we've funded under this particular topic, as you can see here from last year, one project. Unfortunately, that we had only one project, so we hope really under this call to receive a lot of interesting proposals and be able to fund 3, maximum 4 projects. There is also another project on data management that started funding, and we would like to say that this is a topic that is a joint topic between 2 units in DG Connect, the unit that deals with data policy, and the unit which I'm representing working on AI. Wait one moment. Yes, so what are the typical stakeholders that we're looking for in this proposal? Well, since it's a research and innovation action, we're looking for academic and research organizations, but also industry, including SMEs and startups. And we really want to make sure that the consortium is multidisciplinary and also takes into account social sciences and humanities. The key group, as I said, of actors driving this is the AI Data and Robotics Partnership, and we provided also the link. Interested parties and participants or organizations can also get in contact with the AI Data and Robotics Partnership if you're looking also for consortia or partners to join the consortium or the proposal that you're currently working on. This is the background document, because we have launched up to 42 projects last year, because my unit was responsible for a lot of topics that were evaluated in the first year of Horizon Europe. And you can also find the links. I think we will make also the slides available to all the participants. And there is also, of course, the link when we talk about data to the Digital Europe program, which is mostly only for European member states. In a nutshell, it is a very important proposal and topic for us, because energy efficiency is very discussed at the moment. We have the recent energy crisis, and this is something where we're really looking forward to receive interesting proposals. I participated in a workshop, I think last year. It was between Indian participants and European participants. And I think energy efficiency and sustainability was frugal AI in a way was one of the main kind of aspects where both sides agreed on. So I'm really looking for interesting proposals in this topic. I think with this, I will conclude, and I think I will stop sharing because I cannot see anything.
Thank you very much, Evangelina. And really, I hope that those that are interested in bringing the use of artificial intelligence to the next level have listened carefully, because you really got extremely useful information. I would retain from that, read carefully the call text, read also all the background information that Evangelina has provided, and also look at past projects. She has given references. Lots of background reading before you go into it to really make sure that you are contributing to what we are after. I saw one question in the chat: is this call open to all? Yes, it is. It is a principle of Horizon Europe, open to all countries, all entities. Please also note, as Evangelina said, that we are also interested to have startups in that call as a participant. It is open, and you will need participants from 3 European countries, member states are associated, and then other countries can join. And of course, India can join, and the government has provided a commitment to fund if you are successful in both evaluations. I think with that also I have captured the questions that were in the chat. And I think in the interest of time, I would like to move, if we agree, to the next topic. Also, again, having been in India, very important topic, and that is the topic of increasing the capacity of electric energy storage, grid support. But let me go right to Johan Blondel, who better than anybody else will be able to present that call and again say what we are after and how we want to improve the capacity we are already in today with respect to energy storage. And again, a fantastic topic where Europe and India would have complementary knowledge to work together. So Johan, the floor is yours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I will share my screen as well. There we are. If all goes well, you should see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Johan Blondel. I am going to present a topic that is published under the battery call, and I will just give a little bit of a background on this subject. So the battery partnership, BAT4U, has been established in 2021. It is a collaboration between the European Commission and the private side, which is represented by BEPA, the Batteries Europe Partnership Association. And the scope of this partnership is depicted in the graph that you see here. So we start from raw materials, not the mining, but the refining of the raw materials, then move through advanced materials synthesis, deconstruction of cells, packs and modules. And then the application integration is really covered by collaboration with other partnerships and other areas in the Horizon Europe work program. So then after the use of the batteries, the integration into the different applications, they come back into the scope of the partnership in the end of life. So that can be second life applications, so the use of spent batteries, but also the recycling of the batteries. The scope of the activities of the partnership is put down in the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, the SRIA, that you can find at the link here below. You see it reflects the scope of the activities that I have mentioned, and it is split into a number of areas. So we have the raw materials and the recycling at the beginning and the end of the life cycle of the batteries. Then the second area is on advanced materials and manufacturing. And the third area is on battery end users and operations. And then we have a number of cross-cutting areas: safety, sustainability, and coordination. So the way that the topics are constructed is in very close collaboration between the Commission on one side and BEPA, the Batteries European Partnership Association, on the other side. So we follow the regular co-creation process inside the Commission, collaboration with other Directorate Generals. We also work together with the Technology and Innovation Platform. We have full inter-service consultation and member states consultation, and we work on the basis of this agreed strategic research and innovation agenda. There is no need to be a member of BEPA, even though it is warmly welcomed to become a member and be part of their scope of activities. So the calls are fully open, and please make sure that you check the full call text, because in this limited scope of time, I only can present the headlines. So the topic highlighted for presentation here is on hybrid electric energy storage solutions for grid support and charging infrastructure. You see that we are talking here about hybrid in the sense that we are talking about either combinations of batteries. So this could be, for instance, a fast and a slow responding battery, but you can also consider the combination of batteries together with other electrochemical or electrostatic storage. So supercapacitors could be eligible, but also hydrogen applications could be integrated into this. And by combining these different storage technologies, we would like to go for the demonstration of this storage system in at least 3 different use cases. And this is also why we have invited the participation of India for the demonstration of these use cases in other and potentially more difficult application areas. So just to outline the scope, I already mentioned the different use cases supporting the electrical grid and electrical vehicle charging infrastructure. Second life batteries, so spent EV batteries, are in the scope, and we are looking for scalable and modular solutions. So that can be demonstrated at small scale, but that can be replicated subsequently. Also, we ask you to include the proper power conversion devices so that we can integrate the batteries into grid connection, grid following, and grid forming modes. For each of the applications, we ask for a life cycle assessment, also avoiding and limiting the use of critical raw materials, because this is very important from a strategic point of view to reduce the dependency on elements like cobalt, lithium, that is becoming more and more critical. So also to look into alternative battery technologies such as sodium-ion or flow batteries. Then we also ask you to look into development of physics-based and data-driven digital models so that we can facilitate the design and the integration of these batteries into systems. and combined different battery technologies based on specific use cases. We also ask you to develop and validate management policies and control systems, maximizing the benefits of this hybrid storage, also from a cost point of view, to facilitate the asset management and the participation in electricity and service markets. And then very importantly, to demonstrate. So this should not be a paper elaboration. We really ask you to demonstrate the usage of this system in at least 3 different use cases, and then to analyze the business cases associated with that. In terms of expected outcomes, we are looking for the demonstration of hybrid electric storage systems for long duration, so 12 hours or more, with a provision of multiple grid services. We also expect that you show a trend contribution towards a reduction of the cost of storage. So the final aim being 5 cents per kilowatt hour per cycle by 2030, and reduce the use of critical raw materials. And then, of course, the synergies between the producers, strengthening the battery ecosystem, increasing the digitalization, establishing multi-service approaches, and through the integration of these battery storage systems to increase the reliability and the resilience of the electricity system by demonstrating new storage solutions. So from an administrative point of view, this is an innovation action, so pretty high TRL. We are expecting technology readiness level of 7 by the end of the project. We aim for the demonstration of, or the funding of 2 projects with 6 million funding each. The call has been opened in December of last year and it's closing in April. We also ask that you link to the topic described here, so interoperable solutions for flexibility services using distributed energy storage, so to set up links with the projects that are following from this specific topic. Also to contribute to the Bridge initiative. This is an overarching initiative bringing together energy-related projects. And then, as already mentioned, international cooperation with the areas mentioned there is strongly encouraged. So in a nutshell, this is the description of the topic, and I'm ready to take any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Johan. I repeat myself, but really, I hope that those that listen and are interested in this call got your messages, because they were really very, very important, and really also show the way we at European level, we design our calls, because we also always want to go to the next level, improve our capacity, improve our scientific excellence. And this is a very special call for 2 reasons. India, we had identified that participation of India would be of mutual interest, and therefore in the call text, participation of India is encouraged. And that means that proposals with an Indian participant should be positively evaluated more than a proposal which does not include India. So really, you should proactively look at cooperation with Europe in that field. And that shouldn't be too difficult, because we have already passed cooperation on smart grids, and Indian community is familiar with the Bridge consortium or group of scientists that you mentioned. I could also suggest here, for example, that India looks at cooperation, because we talk a lot about the importance and the convergence of triangle cooperation. You can also take in one same proposal participants from Africa in your proposals, and that would be a double advantage, I would even say. So again, read very carefully the scope, what we are after, and the background document that we have provided you. In terms of specific questions that I see in the chat, which I don't see anything specific on the topic. It is again on who can participate and if the different entities that are eligible, and how you have to constitute a consortium, always with this minimum participants from Europe and then other entities, and as I mentioned, certainly Indian entities, or even any other entity, especially I kind of see a scope to add African entities in your consortium. Any hands, urgent questions? Otherwise, I really would like to shift to the next topic. But before doing that, I would like to thank very much Johan Blondel for that presentation and all the insight he gave on that specific call. Thank you, Johan, and I hope that in the meantime, Maurizio Maggiori, who is also former Director General on Research and Innovation, is connected and will present another very important call. They're all, because we face so many problems, but that is the zero emissions for vehicles, something we really want to address if we both want to achieve our Paris commitments and get eventually this zero net society. Mauricio, are you there?
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and we wait for your presentation to be uploaded, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much for being with us.
I can share the screen as well.
Yes, do go ahead.
Colleague has done. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to address this distinguished audience. Good morning and good afternoon. And I will try to introduce, let's say, briefly, given the time, the background and the topic. Let me see if this works. Is it visible now? Is presentation visible?
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I go to the. I see, but I cannot. Oh, yeah, it's a bit slow. Sorry. It has taken all the. Okay, so I'm going to present the topic we will do on, let's say, a circular car. It's this slide tries to give a background on it. Basically, we have our big strategy Fit for 55. We have, let's say, already many measures related to transport and cars in particular. On one end, we have a mandate to evaluate an LCA approach. And at the same time, the part of this is already addressed by the forthcoming battery regulation. As you see in the graph on the right, the blue bar at the bottom is the manufacturing, the production, let's say, impact in terms of CO2. And there's a share which is due to the battery, but then the rest of the vehicle has a bigger share. So we want to try and work on all the aspects, try and be as, let's say, as clean as possible in all respects. So we are addressing this. This topic is part of a big. Oh, sorry, this is going by itself. I don't know. Let me do it again. Because it's advancing the slides by itself.
We can't always control technology.
Yeah, okay. So we have a partnership which is addressing specifically the automotive sector, particularly zero emission automotive sector. It's called 2.0. And it's at the core of this domain, but it's not alone. So you see, we have connections to the other areas in our work program. So connected and automated driving, batteries that Johan mentioned before, clean hydrogen, and digital technologies. Overall, we want to promote and accelerate the development and the take-up of the zero-emission transport. Now, I highlighted here in the previous call the life cycle assessment and circularity topic, because I think that in the search for potential partners, it's important to see who is involved there, because these are the actors that are already active in this domain. So it could be a kind of a good starting point to look for collaborations. This is the last in a series of partnerships that has gradually grown, let's say, in content. And for instance, this part is relatively new, at least at this level of importance. We had topics before where we looked at LCA and so on and so forth, but in this new partnership, we have a stronger importance. Again, sorry, it's advancing. Yeah, and you see, these are the pillars, and there is a specific pillar on LCA and circular economy approaches for sustainable and innovative road mobility solutions. So it has grown in relevance. Of course, the core is new vehicles, new electric components, and so on and so forth. But we think that this domain is important to address that part of the emissions that are produced during the manufacturing. So this is giving you an idea of what is in 2.0. So it's also been widened to basically all type of vehicles. But in this topic, we want to address cars because they are regulated in Europe. At the moment, for instance, there's no regulation to to treat end-of-life motorbikes. It's coming, but it's not there. So the whole partnership is looking at all these domains, but the topic is specific cars. Also because the materials are more or less the same, so any, let's say, innovation will be easily transported to other areas. So I go quickly into the topic itself. The idea is to look at a complete strategy for having circularity on vehicles, from production to dismantling and end of life, and we want it to be demonstrated. So we want hardware. The idea is to have a car prototype, let's say, with mainly the structure and the other components, because you'll see not all the components are included, but real hardware produced with methodologies which are circular. At the same time, looking also at the potential for refurbishing and reusing, because of course that keeps an even higher value and prolongs the usefulness of the components. Look at the digital tools that are needed to enable this. Basically, ways of designing for this from the beginning, and therefore to make it easier then to know what's inside the car, to know how to dismantle it, and so on. Consider also maintenance and repair, because of course the car has to be well usable and user friendly for the customer, but at the same time ensuring that also these practices are circularity friendly. Concepts to measure this and assessing the level of circularity that will be achieved. And allow the exchange of information along the chain, because as I said, when it's designed, you determine many capabilities, but then this information has to go down to the point that the guy that at the end dismantles the car knows which are the materials of certain components, for instance, to facilitate the use or the recycling. Of course, this also means training and skills, because we will go deeper than today, where basically we scrap the car and melt it down. Or I mean, this is will probably mean a different approach for the people working in the domain. And at the end, we require to have a digital twin of the demonstrators, so that this can be used in other ways, like assessing scenarios and so on. By the way, let's say a stress is on recycled and bio-based materials reuse later on. The outcome that we expect is that the EV are of the future have an increased circularity and a reduced footprint. We want to make both the general public and the practitioners in the domain more aware on one hand of this, and at the same time accept it more from the customer point of view. An harmonization of the practices across the board, also along the chain from the suppliers of components to the OEMs. And as I said, we want a real prototype which aims, it might be not 100%, so not 0% virgin material, but we expect a very high percentage, in 90–95% in terms of mass. But we, as I said before, we exclude the battery cells, because this is addressed and will be addressed in topics in the battery partnerships, and therefore we didn't want to duplicate. The e-machines, because in the same way, particularly for rare materials, rare earth materials, we have covered this in the last call, so we didn't need to duplicate as well. And electronics, because they are a little bit of a specific area, and in terms of mass, they are not, let's say, the majority, a big share of the vehicle weight. With this, we want to accelerate the transformation of Europe towards the climate neutrality and circularity, and we think that this means also the potential for transferring practices and ideas to other sectors. Normally, the automotive or the aviation sectors have been a bit the forerunners for other sectors. And of course, with this, we also want to keep a leadership from the technology point of view, which is not only on the performance of the vehicle and things like that, but also on the capability to make it circular and less depending on input from other parts of the world, keeping as much as possible of the critical raw materials in our area. The action is a research and innovation action. We expect at least TRL 5 at the end of the project. We have a budget of 12 million euros EU contribution. So we expect basically to fund one project under this topic, and the timing is the one here. So the call will be closing in April. So thank you for the attention. Hope that this was clear. And in any case, I'm here for any question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maurizio. Again, a very useful presentation to show the richness of that topic, which you underlined, recommending reading very carefully the scope of the call and some background information that you provided. There are no specific questions, and in addition, I see that Mr. Jorge Molina Villanueva is already there with the next topic, also a very interesting topic in which India has lots of expertise. So Jorge, the floor is yours. We're running a little bit behind the time, but I know that you have a very comprehensive and good presentation. So I hope you have managed to share your screen with us, and happy to pass you on the floor.
So good afternoon, good morning still. I'm trying to share my screen. Do you see?
Yes.
Okay, so you see the first slide, is it correct?
I think it's your first slide, yes.
Okay.
It's the one with the indicative budget.
Yes.
Okay.
The first slide.
The title
okay, so,
and research and innovation action. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so thank you very much, Tanya, and thank you to all the stakeholders from India. Thank you for attending this workshop, and it's my pleasure to present this topic on new detection methods in relation with new genomic techniques for traceability and transparency in food systems. So as you know, this topic has been developed under the cluster 6, food, agriculture, natural resources, etc. And it's welcome in international cooperation. We developed this topic under the farm to fork umbrella or strategy in a co-creation process with several DGs. Probably you know that most of the topics, or all of them, I would say, are developed in a co-creation process inside the European institutions, so with different DGs and the GRC, etc. In this case, this topic was co-created by our colleagues of GRC and DG Sante, DG Agri, and ourselves in DG RTD. So I work on DG RTD research and innovation. This is a very specific topic dealing with research and innovation. I would say that there is a strong focus on research and technology, and we have an indicative budget, a total budget of 10 million for this topic, and we think that 5 million per project can be sufficient to address the outcomes and scope of this project. So in this area, in this topic, probably we will be funding then 2 projects. So the policy context that we have for developing this topic is the European Green Deal and the farm to fork strategy. At the end, in practical terms, this means that we want to ensure traceability and authenticity along the food chain, and of course along food systems. We want to enhance transparency and promote innovation in the area of new genomic techniques. We know that modifications sometimes introduced by new genomic techniques can in principle be detected using current laboratory analytical techniques. But however, when the small changes in the genome are introduced by certain new genomic techniques, then it's often not possible to confirm if these changes happen by natural mechanisms or by techniques not subject to the GMO legislation or by NGTs. So this is the main focus of this topic. So the expected outcomes of these topics, as you can see here, is to develop at the end and to have new reliable methods, detection methods. And we are thinking in the customers, of course, we are the clients at the end of these techniques, of these techniques or technologies that you will develop in laboratories. So to empower the enforcements of the authorities, the agri-food operators, because at the end we want to have more authenticity and traceability in the food chain for those products obtained through new genomic techniques. And of course, we have the end of the agri-food chain, that is the consumer. So the consumer choices are paramount. It's really important, and we wanted to increase the transparency and traceability across the food chains, including, of course, the consumer, the final client, some way, the society at the end. And of course, another expected outcome is to innovate in the food systems technologies in the area of new genomic techniques. So we want a real impact on sustainable and healthy and inclusive food systems, trying to deliver also co-benefits. This concept of co-benefits is important for this topic. And this is my last slide because we are running out of time. So the scope of this topic is try to look for innovative ways about identification of specific markers that allow the distinction between products resulting from new genomic techniques subject to GMO legislation and products that are not subject or under the GMO legislation. So it's written more extensively in the topic, but the methods should be assessed. These new techniques should be assessed. Also can be assessed. So use test on pure products, food products, or as well on mixtures of typical food or feed products that exist on the market. Proposals also can include plant-based products and may include also animal or microorganisms-based products. I heard also the importance of artificial intelligence for other topics and were mentioned by my colleagues, and also for India. And yeah, in this topic, it's important also to use digital virtual artificial intelligence modeling to support the development of these detection methods alternatives. And of course, standardization. Standardization is important because at the end, what we want is technology that is standardized in some way, so it can be used and spread in many places. We are talking about research and innovation action. We would like to have a technology in readiness level at the end of the project around between 4 and 5. The consortium that present proposals to this topic has to look for cooperation with the GRC, the Joint Research Center, and also, sorry, and also with the European Network of GMO Laboratories. The concept of synergies sometimes is not sufficiently stressed, but we wanted here in this topic to not to forget it because we think that there are already existing topics working on this area, but not in food, let's say in bio-based products. You have it's a topic Horizon Cluster 621, zero pollution. So synergies and collaboration with the projects, the consortia that are already working on that, it's really important. And just to say that this call, the info day for this topic was organized in December. The call opened on the 22nd of December, and if I'm not mistaken, the call will close the 12th of April. So there's still room, time, space for participating on this topic. So with this, I finish. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jorge. I think, again, very useful, especially clearly made the scope of this call and what we are after. And just there is really a lot of attention to the concern on that in India as well. Pour la petite histoire, as they say, in India, sometimes they call farm to fork, farm to plate. And they're very committed to improve the quality of the food as well. So there is a lot of knowledge and interest in India for this call, and we encourage you to participate. So that gives me now the chance to present the last speaker on of the information session today, and that is Larissa Lorenzi. She is also from DG Research and Innovation, and she works in the unit on healthy oceans and seas. We are very privileged to have her because she has been instrumental in writing the call, and so she will be is the best placed person to explain you what we are after on these important calls to make our oceans more healthy. Larissa, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Can you please confirm that you see my slides?
Yes, we do. We do.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So
yes.
Thank you very much. I'm quite honored that you have chosen to select the essential ocean variables topic as one of the interests for India. We indeed share the highest interest into preserving our ocean in a healthy and integral state. Without further ado, I'm going to jump into the topic. This one is quite an ambitious topic. It's an innovation action with a total budget of 17 million euros, which will fund 3 projects. Now, the architecture of the design of the topic is that the 3 projects will all be selected to cover one of the 3 options. So the topic is designed and offering 3 options, and I'm going to clarify in a little bit. But first of all, the policy context. So we are within the European Green Deal and notably the biodiversity and climate objectives. The topic is very much linked to strengthening the research on the ocean climate and biodiversity nexus, and doing so by delivering ocean forecasts and early warnings, including climate projections and global assessments, and protecting the ocean health and its benefits, plus the ecosystem services that it provides. It will be, so the topic is very much linked to the linkage between the physical, geochemical, biological, and biodiversity and ecosystem components of the ocean. It also desires to implement protective and adaptive measures to protect the ecosystems. The expected outcomes of this topic is, first of all, delivering an integrated multidisciplinary ocean science with the ambitious aim of bringing closer together the communities that work on the physical aspects, on the biogeochemical aspects, and the biological and ecosystem components. It is also expected that it will deliver an improved essential ocean variables and the integration of all of the components into observations. And this in turn is expected to enable excellent decision-making and to sustain the European leadership in the ocean climate biodiversity science, and to make tremendous contributions to the global scientific assessments like the IPCC and IPBES and others, but also to integrating assessment models. Now, if we go into the options, so I've mentioned that there are 3 options. Option A is focused on the physical component. So it will look into the design further and develop further the physical oceanic processes and indicators. Out of all of the components in the essential ocean variables, the physical ones are the most developed. So here the TRL levels are the maximum. So at the end of the project, we expect TRL 8. The project will develop the performance of the indicators and the monitoring with an increase in resolution and reduction in uncertainties, as well as supporting the integration in the climate models and most importantly, the important feedbacks. It will also have to improve the monitoring and the reporting in specific ocean areas. And here I refer to marginal areas, to the coastal zones, to the polar areas, and also contribute to a better quantitative understanding and then predictability of the processes that generated the ocean extremes, as well as being able to predict and model the extremes and the tipping elements. For option B, this will then target the biogeochemical components and indicators. Here as well, we expect a TRL level of 7 to 8 by the end of the project. The biogeochemical components are already quite well integrated, but further work is needed, including a better understanding of the linkage between the ocean physical and biogeochemical variability. We expect a combination of the measurements of the greenhouse gas measurements in regions critical to the fluxes and that are relevant to the biogeochemical measurements. And we expect that the project will inform the models and the predictions linked to the ocean acidification and the ocean biological pump, including the long-term trends linked to the ocean chemistry. We also expect improved observations for the interplay between the carbonate chemistry and the variety of biogeochemical and physical processes. And last but not least, major contribution towards the integration of more biogeochemical parameters and assimilation techniques, models, and assessment strategies into Earth system models. And the last option, so the third one is focused on the biological and ecosystem components. Out of the three, this is the list developed. So here the TRL is lower with the expected TRL at 5 to 6 at the end of the project. We expect quite a lot of development for these indicators and integration into the Earth system models. We expect the further development of the observation and also assess the needs for additional observations. We expect as well the development of common approaches and standards and intercalibrated protocols, and the better representation of the biological and ecosystem processes in climate models. As for the previous two options as well, here we expect a better scientific understanding of the extremes, with the caveat that here we would like to focus particularly on dual and triple compound events. For all of the three objectives, international cooperation is very, very important. You will note that the topic is also flagged for cooperation with the European Space Agency. And I also include on the right, you can see all the different contributions that the topic will have to do. It is highly multidisciplinary, as you could have seen already. It takes the ecosystem-based approach. One of the eligibility conditions is the use of Copernicus and or the Galileo and EGNOS data. And one of the peculiarities is that the 3 projects that will be funded will have to work very closely together, and they will also have to have a dedicated work package detailing how the 3 projects will work together. Finally, this is the link to the funding and tender portal with the deadline for the application. And I would like to thank you for your attention. Namaste. I give the floor back to you, please.
Thank you, Larissa. Yeah, this is a very complex call, and levels are high and multidisciplinary. I noted that you said that it is for a better decision making and global scientific assessment. And when we say global, we can't be global without India. And you can definitely count on India, because Ministry of Earth Sciences has been a very loyal partner of our cooperation already, and has really already supported a lot of top Indian institutes also aiming at improving this ocean science and knowledge, and contributing to a cleaner planet. I don't see specific questions. I think that those interested will have to digest all that information. And again, I have to repeat myself, really read carefully the call text, what we are after, our objectives, and with your scientific capacity at home, I'm sure you can contribute to achieving what we want, and that is improve our ocean science knowledge. Thank you very much, Larissa. Thank you very much to all the listeners. And with this session on the scope is over. It took a bit more time, but I think it was important to hear from those that have worked on these calls what we are calling upon. The scope, the policy context is important, and it's over to you now to find your partners and prepare good proposals. We trust you can make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for this excellent moderation and also keeping the time in mind. And thank you so much to all the presenters from Brussels who gave a very excellent and short, precise, comprehensive overview of the call. And I'm sure that there will be now a lot to digest, but we are still, we will have opportunities to continue these conversations through email or also through our following up events, the brokerage events on each call. But I would like now to ask Mr. S.K. Varshney, the Advisor and Head International Cooperation, Department of Science Technology, Government of India, for giving the closing remarks. Mr. Varshney, this has been a wonderful session, a wonderful afternoon with a lot of information, but a lot of opportunities, right, for India-EU partnership.
Yeah, thank you, Samrat, and thank you, colleagues. It has been a wonderful afternoon or wonderful morning if you are in Europe or in India, where we got quite a good coverage on various aspects of the proposed India-EU call, and several stakeholders, both from India and European Union, made a presentation in terms of agencies, in terms of areas, and each one of them has been discussed so thoroughly. I'm sure that our discussions today are not going to close with this meeting. In fact, they remain open as long as this call is open. And you are most welcome to send your query, any of your query, either to EU Secretariat in Delhi or to any of the participating department, be it Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Earth Sciences on our side, and EU headquarters in Brussels. So we shall be too glad to give whatever clarification is required. We would like this call to be more competitive, and this is good for global science, not only for Indian science or EU science, but for the global science. And the areas, number of areas have been discussed, and including health, ocean, transport, bioenergy, artificial intelligence, robotics, batteries, I think ocean climate, biodiversity. So this is something very important in the current times. And we do hope that scientific community will respond positively to this call and come up with many of the proposals. And I would really love if you give us tough tasks choosing the best ones. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Varshney, for your concluding remarks. And I also invite Mr. Pierrick Filon-Achida, who is the first counselor and the head of the Research Innovation section at the EU delegation, for giving the closing remarks of today's event. Pierrick, this has been an intensive period of preparing, but I hope you're satisfied with what we have achieved so far.
Yes, thank you very much. And I will take the words of Dr. Varshney to give us yes, please give us a tough task to select the best. So as first, thanks all the participants. I see the counting is still 161 participants. It's very good. We raised up at the beginning at 252. Yes, so thank you for all the people on the ground in Europe, in India, who will put proposals in 3 different secretariats and on 5 calls. I just have to close to tell you that those are the first calls that we have, and we have more calls next year that will be announced at the end of this year. So look at them as well. The second message is we had already in the past, and Tanya helped my colleague who is now in Brussels a few years back. We have existing projects, so we can give you examples of how others in India, in Europe are working together. We have more than 42 projects in different sectors. So it's possible to work together. The second message I am passing is we officials like Dr. Varshney and all the colleagues who I like to thank, Dr. Manish, Dr. Arwin, and Dr. Arpana, we are working together. We are trying to improve the mechanism, how we discuss, how we align topics, how we will select, and so on. So we are almost, as we say in English, walking the talk. We are doing it at the same time as it's unfolding. So please let this task with us, officials. We will help you in the ground, but we are convinced that we will have a good project. And my last message is please work with us directly, of course, with colleagues like from the EU delegation, Euraccess, but also with embassies. European embassies in India are well equipped to guide you on all those topics. And as Dr. Samrat was mentioning, in February, we have more dedicated brokerage event to help you to find partners. So thank you very much. I have a special thanks to Samrat and Vivek, who are the two people behind, but all of us are around the screen now. And I wish that we will meet you when after the selection of projects. I wish that with the different secretaries, we will organize in Delhi, maybe it will be by the end of this year, a kind of meeting with whoever has been selected in these topics. So thank you very much to everybody and namaste.
Thank you so much, Pierrick. And we're, as you said, really looking forward now to see what will be the outcome of this info day and how much you can take with you. And if you need more to know about the different calls, if you are looking for potential partners, we are organizing brokerage events starting from next week onwards on the different calls. We start on 2nd of February with the battery and zero emission vehicle call, followed the week after with AI. Health comes the week after. On 17th, we have the ocean call. And then we have the, on 21st of February, we have the call on healthy, environment friendly agri-food. And here you will have the opportunity, if you have a project idea, to pitch it, to send us your presentation, and we will try to accommodate, to give you a slot. to pitch your idea and propose to potential partners to join a consortium to apply for this call. So please keep that in mind. These are the events coming up. You can register on the Euraxis website. We already shared it in the chat. So please go there and find more information on how to register and how to make a presentation. With this, we are like within the given time, which we said, it's almost more than 2.5 hours.
Samrat, I have a request. If you could take a group photograph of all the participants, at least over here.
Yes, of course. We actually, I think already my colleagues did it, but we can do it one more time. So this is the opportunity. Please, smile for the cameras, smile for social media. Yes, so we get also colleagues from Brussels on it.
Maurizio, Manish.
Yes.
Smile, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. A lot of projects.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And bye-bye to my beloved
Namaste, Tanya.
Thank you, Samrat.
Tanya, namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste, Tanya.
Hi, Tanya. How are
Happy New
you?
Year. I hope you are enjoying Europe.
Very happy with this session.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Manish. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, participants.